Hello, this is Leonard Rich, Administrative Director for the Lawrence County Career and Technical Center, here to discuss with you our return to vocational instruction under attestation guidelines. As you know, we've been following a very limited return to vocational instruction. But under the attestation guidelines, and as our numbers are moving to lower levels, it's time that we start to bring kids back in a safe capacity, respecting the fact that we may see another surge and respecting the fact that we may have to deal with some cases. So how do we intend to bring back our students for vocational instruction in an in-person format while our academics remain on a virtual format? All right, so you must understand the following about a return to school plan adhering to attestation guidelines, that we must do the following. We must mask. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. Students coming into the school, walking the common hallways, in their individual shops, etc., must be wearing a mask. If we have any cases, we must report them. We have and we will. If we have any cases, we will perform the contact tracing, which we have done in the past, and we will. And if we do have 4 or more cases, then we will have to close down for a period of time until such time as we can clean and sanitize. At that point, we would be allowed to be reopened, and I will review that. So this plan assumes that we will not expand our student participation to include all students involved in vocational instruction until after the January JOC meeting. The JOC will be on board, or we will not do this. And we will also establish a hybrid return based upon our A-B week schedule. So how will it work? On Monday, February 1st, students scheduled for B-Week shop will report for in-person learning for the whole day. Regular bus stop, regular arrival, regular lunch, regular dismissal. Any student unable to attend will have an asynchronous assignment. We are going to put the emphasis on instruction for the students in front of us. You will have an assignment asynchronous if you can't be there, but please understand we need to put materials in our students' hands and we need to move forward. Students scheduled for B-Week academics will remain full virtual remote learning. A week later, Monday, February 5th or February 8th, it is now A-Week's turn. Students scheduled for A-Week shop will report for in-person learning. Again, any student unable to attend will have an asynchronous assignment. And students scheduled for A-Week academics will remain full virtual remote. So some questions come up. When are we coming back and how are we coming back? So again, we will be returning starting February 1st. We will follow a B-Week schedule. Students scheduled for vocational education will report to in-person instruction with an asynchronous option. Students scheduled for academic education will remain full virtual or remote. February 8th, A-Week will be scheduled for vocational education and report for in-person instruction with an asynchronous option. And students scheduled for academic education during A-Week will remain full virtual remote. People are concerned with reopening when families have traveled for Christmas, New Year's, and the county rates have not changed. Why now? What was the shutdown for at that point? Why close it all? So the positivity rates remain high, as in over 100, as do other numbers on the dashboard. Additional evidence is coming to the forefront that schools are not the super spreader events, but rather social gatherings are. The details of the plan address concerns regarding possible exposure or contact with other people from outside the family, community, state, etc. Some of the latest scientific information supports bringing students back to school. Moreover, students remain at low levels of contraction. Governor Wolf, in his recent joint address with Dr. Rachel Levine, was quoted as saying schools need to reopen. Indeed, Dr. Levine and Secretary Ortega from PDE held a news conference January 6th, schools to reopen, at least for K-6, students with an IEP, and other targeted populations, such as at-risk students who may not be succeeding. We have a large IEP population. We have a large at-risk population, particularly this year, where our students are struggling because they are not in front of us. We closed in November under the guidelines at that time. Since November, schools in Pennsylvania have had to complete an attestation form. The attestation form does not speak directly to the dashboard. The attestation form demands that if a school returns to in-person instruction while they are substantial, they'll do the following: mask, report cases, contact trace, and clean and sanitize prior to any reopening. Our mask policy will be robust. Masks must be worn by students entering the building, while in the building, during class, exiting the building, etc. Progressive discipline will be utilized if a student is non-compliant. Please refer to question 3 on the document for greater detail, and I will explain. If we reopen and we have cases, we must report those cases to the Department of Health. We have done so, and we will continue to do so. If we reopen and have cases, we must perform social contact tracing and inform those people who need to be quarantined as a close contact, as well as those who are possibly exposed. Think back to some of our communication this summer on what is a contraction of a disease, what is the close contact versus what is the exposure. If we have 4 more cases in this building on a rolling 14-day calendar, then we will close. If we close, it's recommended that we close for 3 to 7 days. But during that time, the building must be cleaned. Once the building is cleaned, we may reopen and our case count goes back to 0. Therefore, can we reopen prior to the 3 days? According to the Department of Health, it is a local decision. If and when we return, what is the procedure for students who repeatedly show up without masks? We need a clear-cut protocol that does not fall back on the teachers being the mask police daily. There is a concern that students who are allowed in the building unmasked, who are, by the way, who's manning the buses, etc., then refuse one or will not keep it on and then sent to the office. They'll be sent back to class, picked up. When we return, our mask policy will be simple. No mask, no entry. All students who plan on attending in-person instruction must wear a mask, not a shield. Student must continue to wear a mask while in the hallways, in the classrooms, entering the cafeteria, through the line, exiting, etc. LCCTC employees will have a facial covering that is suitable for performing their duties, mask, shields, gaiter, etc. If a student has a documented medical excuse, and it must be from a healthcare provider, not from a mother, father, or other caregiver, then they may attend in-person instruction and wear a shield. All students must have an appropriate face covering. Students who do not mask will be dealt with as a violation of the Student Code of Conduct. All students in attendance for in-person instruction will be wearing a mask or appropriate face covering. District personnel will continue to be stationed at entrances to the building with masks to offer students. We will detain mask refusals and take them to the office. Teachers will also have extra masks to offer if a student is missed at the entrance or loses their mask on the way to the classroom. If a student refuses, the teacher should send them to the office. In regards to masking, persistent violation of the masking policy may be interpreted as a major violation. If a student does not have a mask on, they will not be permitted to return to class. If a student is seen for multiple violations of the masking policy, that will follow progressive discipline. Repeated improper masking will lead to detention, just as repeated disregard for school rules. Lunch. Lunch continues to be a major concern for staff, particularly with the lack of social distancing. What about the exposure of hundreds of kids unmasked through the day to cafeteria workers, support staff, custodial secretaries that man lunch and recess, etc.? So we are exploring additional areas. Okay, and for example, we're still going to follow the 2 lunch schedule, but we're going to have half as many kids in each lunch. Excuse me. So social distancing will be able to be achieved in each lunch. Normally, we have one lunch for the academic students and 1 lunch for the vocational students. Now we're going to take all of the vocational students, about 190 of you or so, and we're going to divide you in half. So we will have about 90 or so in a lunch, and we're going to spread you out. So we're going to take the same space, half the kids, double the space between each kid. You will still have to wear a mask in line and only remove it to eat. Cafeteria staff may instruct students to place their mask on their face. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary action. Will there be other communications to families? Absolutely. We will have a clear and concise communication with our families. If you notice, we have already posted different signage in our buildings. Future district communication will emphasize the change in policy as well as enforcement, consequences, etc. Additionally, we may come into substitute shortages. We need to have a plan for covering. We need to have a plan for possibly splitting classes. What will we do? Well, the first thing we're going to do is utilize our existing day-to-day subs that we call in and our report for duty each and every day. And then if coverage is needed, we will do so as a building level responsibility, and we may have to utilize prep periods as we've done in the past to make sure that every student is covered. Packed meal service will continue. The cafeteria will have prepared meals available for pickup on Fridays from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Will social distancing be achieved on school buses? Again, we will have to rely on the homeschools for social distancing on the buses. Does my child have to come back? What are my options? All families have the following learning pathways available to them. For the vocational, you can come, or if you don't feel it's safe, you'll have an asynchronous assignment. Academic is full virtual remote and will remain that way. If you don't want to do the full virtual remote option, we do have a canned cyber program as our asynchronous option, but you must be on that for at least 9 weeks. If you are not comfortable with in-person learning, you may choose the asynchronous, as I said, for your child's learning and vocational instruction. But again, we are going to give the priority to the students who are there. Now, if you choose to be synchronous, okay, you must be in good standing. So that will mean less than 4 absences, a good behavior. That will mean good academic performance. So if you're not coming, you need to be in good standing. Now, when will academics occur? So we will bring academics back when the dashboard numbers start to look more in our favor. If they continue to fall towards 100 cases for every 100,000, and if positivity rates fall towards less than 5%, then we will begin to look at a return for academic classes. So in a nutshell, that is our plan to return for asynchronous learning. And again, it was made by humans. It was critiqued by humans. Therefore, it is wholly imperfect. It has its pros, it has its cons, and it can be criticized. But this is the plan that we are proposing to move forward with at this time. We think we can bring back our vocational students to in-person instruction and get their hands on materials and move them towards competencies in the NOCTIs, in the NIMS, and other certifications. Certainly, we're always available for questions, but we're here, we're ready, we're respectful, and we're safe because we go where we're supposed to go, we're there on time, and each and every day, even under the attestation guidelines, we are using our God-given ability to do the very best we can. Thank you.